Okay, welcome to one of my rare live streams. It's been quite a while since I actually did a live stream, so hopefully the sound works good. I guess I'll know after the fact. I'm not going to be checking the chat at all. But what I was going to just kind of talk about in this live stream is humidity in your shop, because over the last few days or a week, I noticed that the dehumidifier that I keep close to my shop's in my basement, like a lot of you people have your shops. And I keep a dehumidifier running 24/7, 365 days a year, just to keep the air circulating a bit, but also to make sure that the humidity stays nice and low so that the stock that I keep in the shop actually stays at a good humidity or a good relative humidity or whatever you want to call it, good moisture content. So it actually stopped working, the dehumidifier in my basement, and it caused some problems with the split top Rubo bench. It actually made the dog block on the tail vise really difficult, if not impossible, to actually get it to slide back and forth. And I didn't think in a matter of about 3 days that it would make that much of a difference, but it did. So over the weekend, I went and picked up another dehumidifier. Now this one here is just from Home Depot. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I have no idea how well it's gonna work, but I got one that's actually gonna drain right into the floor drain like my previous one. So I'll never have to check it and drain it. I'm just gonna run the hose right into the floor drain and I'll never have to worry about it. So let me know down in the chat if any of you have had issues with the humidity in your shop. It's one of the things that's really easy, I think, to overlook in many shops, and it's probably one of the most fundamental things that you really need to pay attention to when you're setting up a shop, when you're trying to keep some good lumber nice and dry and at a steady state so that when you do actually want to go and use it, it's ready to go. That acclimation process is very important. Yeah, so we're gonna get this thing unboxed, and we're not gonna get into too much into this video at all, but I thought maybe we would just kind of hang out. If people wanna join into the chat and share some of their humidity issues in their shops, go ahead. I'm not probably gonna monitor the chat tonight. I didn't set up another way to do that, but in any event, it could spark some good conversation among everybody who actually decides to join in. And thank you for that. I appreciate it. I find my live streams actually get a little more traction than what I thought. They don't get a ton of views, but my channel is really small. And I'm just really surprised at how many people actually do tune in to my live streams. I thought this had wheels, but maybe it doesn't have wheels. No, okay, well that's fine though. It can just stay stationary in one place. Not a big deal. Now this particular dehumidifier that I'm using says that it's good for like over 2,000 square feet. My basement's probably only about 1,000 square feet, but I do plan on moving sometime in the not too distant future, and my basement might be bigger, I don't know. So this particular dehumidifier is definitely a little bigger than what I need, but I imagine it will do the trick just fine and be good enough, if not better, than what I'm going to need when I go to some new space at a later date. And they package these things so well that it takes you 17 days just to get into them. But maybe I will pop around and check the chat periodically here and there. But in any event, we can just kind of hang out tonight a little bit, have a little bit of fun. Let me know in the chat what you're working on, actually, because I do have another video hopefully in the pipeline to come out relatively soon, maybe in the next couple weeks or so. I haven't had a lot of time in the shop recently due to some work stuff and some personal stuff, but hopefully I'll be back on track before too darn long and making some sawdust I've got a couple of really nice projects actually that I want to do in the not too distant future. And I think you guys are really going to like them because they're challenging but easy at the same time. I think even somebody with relatively decent beginner skills should be able to actually build them. So I'll just take a quick little peek at the chat, see if there's anybody saying anything tonight at all. I guess we've only got a couple people on here, and I don't see anything happening in the chat, actually. Nope, nothing happening in the chat. Oh, here we go. Tim's saying he's running a dehumidifier all summer long. He's in Boston. Yeah, the summers here are quite humid. Like they can get up to 80–90% on a fairly regular basis here, Tim. So yeah, I think one of the best tips you could give somebody on setting up a shop pretty well anywhere is get that dehumidifier going, because it is going to be your best chance of having good stock to be able to use and ready to go at a moment's notice. You never know when you're going to actually need to actually get some lumber going and make some sawdust. Projects pop up all the time, and you never know when somebody's going to want something, or you're going to have an idea to build somebody something. Personally, I really like to build things and just give them away. I haven't gotten into selling anything in the 20 years that I've been doing woodworking and furniture building. I just find it's way more satisfying to just say, hey, you know what, you needed this, here you go. Or I thought you might like this, here you go. And just seeing the smiles on people's faces when you give them things is thanks enough and payment enough for me when that kind of stuff happens. So I just don't sell stuff. It's just not me. Maybe someday, but for right now, I think I'm happier just carrying on and giving things away, especially at Christmas time. You know, cutting boards, do some like trivets. I think I said that right, hopefully. But just anything that you think somebody might actually like is great stuff to give away. Now, I am a little bit confused here because I did think there were wheels, and it looks like maybe there are. They're packed away somewhere in here. And I also think there's a drainage hose too. I was a little bit sort of wondering what was going on here when I originally took this out of the box, because it does say it has things that I wasn't seeing, but there we go. They're in the reservoir that you would empty. There. There's the hose. Wheels, good, so I'm not losing my mind. It's more foam packaging that really doesn't do anything at all except take up space and maybe stop it from rattling around. I might actually use the hose from my other dehumidifier, because this one doesn't even have a threaded end to thread onto the garden hose output on here. This is just a hose. I mean, yeah, I guess it can friction fit onto the one part there, and there's no pressure on it, so I guess it's theoretically okay. But last thing you need to do is to flood your basement and your shop with water, so I'll probably use the one that actually screws it on. Yeah. So not a lot of woodworking happening at the moment because we're dealing with humidity. And I know the winter's coming along here, but I find since I've been running the dehumidifier all year long for the last 15 years or so, it actually keeps the air circulating in the basement a little bit so it doesn't get musty or smell. It actually, I think, is just a little bit better overall that way. So there's other benefits. And I just keep the fan running on low basically all the time. It doesn't need to be running on high or anything like that. But just a tiny bit of airflow does wonders. Alrighty. It's got a nice removable filter on the back, so should be able to vacuum the sawdust out of that periodically. That'll work nice. And I imagine if I just undo the plug on the back drain, then that just allows it to feed into the floor automatically. Yep, remove the plug, put the hose into the floor drain. We're good to go. So I basically got this all set to go. So I'm gonna let you guys have a good evening. And yeah, leave some comments in the chat or in the comments of the actual video once it goes live. Let me know how many of you guys actually keep a dehumidifier going 24/7, 365 days a year like what I do. I do find it really helps out in the shop like crazy. It keeps the humidity level really, really constant, and it keeps the airflow going as well. So until next time, I guess go build something beautiful.